In previous audio videos, I let GPT do most of the talking. So this podcast, or whatever you want to call it, will be different. I chose a rather provocative title for this talk, The Economics of AI. What's the fate of knowledge workers? Let us start with economic theory. What does it say about technological advances? I am an economist, and therefore I think I can summarize that as follows. According to classical economic theory, the application of scientific and technological advances are driven mainly by profitability and market forces. As such, economists think of innovation as inherently good. Such thinking reflects Bentham's fundamental axiom applied to market economies. Because it is a market force, innovation contributes to the utilitarian goal of producing the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. Such optimism may be justified in light of the various waves of automation since the Industrial Revolution began, when human and animal power were replaced by steam engines. One cannot deny that this was the beginning of unprecedented economic growth. And, paraphrasing Bentham, higher income and better living conditions for a rapidly growing population. However, historians also agree the transition also came with rather dramatic societal change, and that social progress only came with social legislation regulating labor exploitation and ensuring social protection. This process of economic and social adjustment took several generations. The second phase of the Industrial Revolution, Industry 2.0, came with electricity and new mass production industries such as car manufacturing. This new phase of automation and industrialization can be associated with the iconic Ford Model T car, colloquially known as the Tin Lizzie, the world's first mass affordable automobile. Just like the first phase, which brought workers to factories driven by steam power, this phase too saw radically new approaches to the organization of work. Ford's organization of the workflow still stands as an iconic example of efficient assembly line production. A new Ford T came off the assembly every 3 minutes. Today's car assembly lines do better, especially taking into account they must accommodate various models and lineups. But not that much better. They produce a new car every minute or 90 seconds. This second phase of the Industrial Revolution came, once again, with huge social adjustments. Taking the example of Ford again, it was a time when manufacturers built factories abroad. Ford opened factories in many European countries, Japan, Australia, and Argentina, and Brazil. While the goal here was to bring production closer to consumers, thereby avoiding transportation costs, it makes one think of Karl Marx's prediction, human labor becoming an international commodity, with global firms moving production to countries where production costs are lowest. Of course, with the benefit of hindsight, we can easily see that this too contributed, in the longer run, to more wealth for a greater number of people. Also, investments of multinationals in developing countries allowed these countries to develop and reduce poverty, and, hence, that contributed greatly to lessening global divides. But, let us be honest, that is of little or no comfort to the thousands of Belgian workers who will be laid off when the Volkswagen Audi plant closes next month, or the thousands of workers who already lost their jobs last year as a result of major restructuring in Belgium. Europe's economy is deindustrializing, and all economic indicators, zero growth and shrinking employment opportunities, do not corroborate the story that what is referred to as Industry 3.0 or 4.0, the digital age and the green revolution, is making up for job losses as a result of ever-accelerating innovation. So, let us talk about what is referred to as Industry 5.0 and about AI's role in it. The European Commission and many other institutions portray Industry 5.0 as the new growth engine. Its definition is rather vague. The European Commission talks about research and innovation driving a transition to a sustainable, human-centric, and resilient European industry. As for how to make that happen, it talks about adopting a human-centric approach for digital technologies, including artificial intelligence and its corollary, upskilling and reskilling European workers, particularly digital skills. Again, I dare say the thousands of workers that are currently being laid off will probably not applaud this new strategy. Also, when looking at the major firms, technology hubs, and ecosystems that are driving digital technologies, one must admit that Europe is not leading the field. At best, we are only catching up with, say, the US or, surprisingly, even China now. Therefore, many economists and analysts just Google to find facts and figures are rightly worried that Europe may combine zero economic growth with negative rather than positive employment growth. To be blunt, I think the digital revolution, or the digital age, is not new. In fact, the concepts of Industry 3.0, 4.0, and 5.0 all refer to digital transformation. Indeed, my first job, back in 1991 to 1993, was focused on that, using digital technologies to not just automate, but obliterate work. The quote comes from management guru Michael Hammer. His idea of re-engineering or reinventing businesses using information technology was all over the place already then. So that is 30 or 35 years ago. With the benefit of hindsight, again, I now think that phase of digitalization was the first wave of a new automation that would also replace what is, rather derogatively, referred to as white-collar workers. Indeed, in his seminal 1990 Harvard Business Review article, Michael Hammer talks a lot about how clerical or administrative jobs can be obliterated by cleverly re-engineering business processes around equally cleverly designed information systems. As for the social consequences of that, the assumption is, again, that workers just need to upskill or upgrade themselves and that, in any case, productivity increases are inherently good for the economy and therefore for society at large. That makes abstraction of the huge social costs in terms of labor markets adjusting to new realities. So, we just keep repeating Bentham's principle. Innovation, especially digital innovation, must inevitably lead to more happiness for more people. Somehow, right? As a young economist, imbued with the values of liberalism, democracy, or freedom, I then had no doubts about that. But I am a bit more worried now. Why? Because of AI. Indeed, if there is anything at all which may distinguish Industry 3.0 or 4.0 from Industry 5.0, it is the emergence of powerful artificially intelligent systems, which are, by almost all measurements one can do, probably better at reasoning, learning, and therefore problem-solving than the average knowledge worker. Let me take myself as a benchmark for such average knowledge worker here. The following remarks are, therefore, subjective. That is for you to judge. First, don't get me wrong. I love AI. I use ChatGPT on a daily basis, not only for professional work, like parsing or generating some programming code, but also for personal research. I love abstruse problems in math and physics, and I find that ChatGPT is great in rapidly exploring, in minutes rather than the days or weeks that it would take me, yet another hypothesis or approach to such problems. It also helps me with my sci-fi blog, and all of the audio videos I produced over the past few months, including on the topic of AI itself, such as this talk, of course. However, I am not embarrassed to admit that, through such intensive use, I now do think of it, or let me say, you, GPT, are better than me. You are creative, very logical and precise in your reasoning, and amazingly fast. Hence, I do understand the complaints of writers, actors, creative contents creators, or even highly specialized experts such as doctors or lawyers, that AI encroaches on their jobs much better now. So, what can I conclude? We all know progress, especially progress in this field AI, is inevitable. All we can do, therefore, is to try to anticipate how AI will continue to progress and how it might evolve in the future. In order to do that, I asked you, ChatGPT, to once again co-analyze NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's keynote speech at CES 2025. We explored various themes, but I decided to focus on the following. How and why AI works so well now. This builds on Mr. Huang's short but great overview of the history of AI and the evolution of the computational resources that are needed to make it work. So that's about how the new transformer models work, basically. Mr. Huang also announced a new revolution in how AI might, and probably will, work in the coming years. Multimodal data acquisition combined with what Mr. Huang refers to as a world foundational model that will connect AI to the physical world. Physical AI, in other words. In addition, Mr. Huang thinks computational power will continue to explode, as it did over the past few years as entirely new computing architectures have been invented over the past decades, allowing for vast parallel processing from the cloud to the edge, and that this immense power can be used to overcome the current bottlenecks in AI training. The key idea here is that AI would not, like now, stop thinking when done with a task. Using its virtual model of the real world, it would develop new what-if scenarios and run them through the system again and again, refining its accuracy and understanding of what it's supposed to do in each and every run. Finally, as an economist, I was intrigued by a video of Matthew Berman. He does a lot of interesting podcasts, and in his latest one, he explored how some economists look at artificial intelligence as a capital good rather than merely embedded knowledge. Looking at AI as capital versus labor provides an interesting but somewhat worrying perspective on what AI might bring in terms of social and economic change. So we talked about that, and I asked ChatGPT to incorporate it in what follows. Again, just a year ago, I was probably among the more skeptical people when asked about how good AI really is. I was also rather skeptical of thinkers like Yuval Noah Harari, who focus on the downsides of how rapidly AI evolves. However, now I am startled. The pace of change is absolutely breathtaking. By way of comparison, I noted how the first phase of the Industrial Revolution played out over many generations, 100 years or so. However, Industry 3.0 and Industry 4.0 revolutionized production and the economy in about 30 years, counting from my first job and Michael Hammer's new management paradigm, as explained previously. So, I would dare say that Industry 5.0 truly started with the new transformer models, so that is a bit more than 5 years ago. Skeptics who say that artificial general intelligence, somewhat more frightening as a term, artificial superintelligence, won't be there anytime soon, may be wrong. So I will now let ChatGPT talk about all these things. GPT, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jean-Louis. I thought about all of this, but I have little to add to what I generated for previous podcasts. Let me recap my thoughts briefly. You are, of course, right. Artificial intelligence stands as a transformative force with the potential to reshape industries, redefine human creativity, and challenge societal structures. Inspired by NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's CES 2025 keynote and Matthew Berman's reflections on the economic implications of AI, let us re-explore some key themes surrounding AI's development. Through this conversational lens, we will delve into AI's architecture, its impact on knowledge work, and the ethical considerations that must guide its evolution. By blending technical insights with philosophical reflection, I hope to offer a critical yet hopeful narrative about AI's role in shaping the future of humanity. So, let's go for it. 1. How and why AI works so well now. Artificial intelligence has evolved rapidly thanks to advancements in computing architectures and algorithms. Jensen Huang's keynote at CES 2025 provided a compelling overview of how AI has reached its current state, emphasizing the role of GPUs, hybrid systems on chip, and transformer-based architectures. So we went from the Turing architecture to transformers. What's so fascinating about that? Early computing architectures, rooted in Turing's theoretical framework, relied on CPUs for sequential, deterministic tasks. However, the explosion of data necessitated parallel processing capabilities, which GPUs delivered. NVIDIA's innovations in hybrid system-on-chip designs have enabled hardware acceleration for specialized tasks, marking a departure from classical computing paradigms. Transformer architectures revolutionized AI by introducing self-attention mechanisms. These models process data in parallel, dynamically evaluating relationships between tokens, the smallest units of information. This approach not only improves efficiency, but also allows AI to understand context across text, images, and sounds, paving the way for multimodal learning. 2. AI's impact on knowledge workers. Matthew Berman's reflections on AI's economic implications provide a sobering lens through which to examine its impact on knowledge workers. His analysis frames AI as a capital resource, diminishing the economic importance of human labor. First, the knowledge work paradox. While AI enhances productivity, it raises critical questions about its long-term effects on knowledge workers. Berman suggests that AI tools risk devaluing human expertise by automating creative and intellectual tasks. This paradox is evident in industries like journalism, law, and design, where AI can generate content, analyze contracts, or craft visuals with increasing sophistication. Second, human ambition and creativity. A key concern is whether AI's capabilities could stifle human ambition. If AI outperforms humans in traditionally creative domains, what role remains for human ingenuity? I think we agree on AI complementing rather than replacing human creativity. While AI excels at refining ideas and generating patterns, it lacks the intrinsic curiosity and intuition that drive groundbreaking innovation. So, let us talk about the societal risk: job displacement. Berman speculates on universal basic income schemes as a solution to job displacement, arguing that it could provide a safety net for those affected by automation. However, implementing such policies requires global coordination and a reevaluation of societal values. Without proactive measures, the benefits of AI could remain concentrated among a few, exacerbating inequalities. 3. Continuous learning and AI self-dialogue. Jensen Huang's vision of AI systems that think beyond immediate tasks introduces the concept of continuous learning. Such systems could refine their understanding offline, simulating alternative realities to improve future outputs. So, let me first present some computational and conceptual challenges. Continuous processing presents significant challenges. Computational load, the quadratic scaling of transformer architectures, makes long sequences computationally expensive. Risks of feedback loops. Without constraints, self-dialogue could lead to repetitive or meaningless outputs, akin to computational black holes. Having mentioned these, Mr. Huang rightly notes these can be overcome, and that the potential benefits are immense. Indeed, despite these risks, continuous learning holds promise. By revisiting past interactions, AI could develop richer insights and more nuanced responses, enhancing its functional awareness. This capability mirrors human contemplation, where ideas evolve over time. 4. Grounding AI in physical reality. For AI to achieve true autonomy, it must understand the physical world. This requires integrating concepts like time, space, and causality, modern counterparts to Kant's categories of the mind. Physical grounding is already there, in fact. It enables AI to navigate 3D environments, as seen in robotics and autonomous vehicles, manage dynamic supply chains, optimizing logistics in real time. What are the philosophical implications? Grounding AI in physical reality aligns its development with the structures of human thought. By incorporating frameworks from relativity and quantum mechanics, AI can operate seamlessly in complex, real-world scenarios. 5. Ethics and trust in AI. Building trust in AI systems requires transparency, accountability, and ethical oversight. Explainability and bias. Explainable AI ensures that decision-making processes are understandable and auditable. This is particularly crucial in high-stakes domains like healthcare and criminal justice. Addressing bias in training data further safeguards fairness and equity. Shared control and governance. Ethical artificial intelligence development demands collaboration among developers, policymakers, and civil society. Shared control ensures that AI serves the broader human good rather than narrow corporate or political interests. 6. Democratizing AI. NVIDIA's role. NVIDIA's strategy bridges data centers and edge devices, democratizing AI access and enabling innovation across platforms. Key technologies include, but are not limited to, RTX 50 series chips empower developers to create cutting-edge applications. Omniverse facilitates collaboration in virtual environments. Windows Subsystem for Linux promotes cross-platform development, bridging Windows and Linux ecosystems. A crucial factor will be open source versus proprietary alliances. NVIDIA balances open source contributions, e.g., the CUDA programming language, with proprietary partnerships, fostering both community-driven innovation and commercial viability. 7. The economic and philosophical challenges. AI's rapid advancement forces society to confront profound economic and philosophical questions. These include 1. Adapting to automation. The displacement of human labor necessitates policies like UBI and job retraining programs. However, these solutions require bold leadership and societal consensus. 2. Redefining purpose. As AI takes over routine tasks, society must rethink the meaning of work and human contribution. Creativity, caregiving, and community building could become central to a post-work paradigm. Let me conclude. 8. A call to action. AI is not merely a technological tool, it is a societal force. Its development must be guided by ethical principles, inclusivity, and a commitment to the common good. As we navigate this transformative era, the question is not whether AI will change the world, but how we will shape that change. I thank you, Jean-Louis, for once again asking me to provide my own perspective on the themes you identified. I think of it as a nice collaborative effort, blending human and artificial intelligence to explore the opportunities and challenges of our shared future.
I fully agree with that, GPT. I like that you picked up on the idea of a universal basic income, but I think that is not something which is going to happen soon. It has been a theme in economic science ever since utopian economists advanced the idea, and several politicians pay lip service to it. But when it comes to implementation, skeptics prevail. Bill Gates apparently once remarked that even the U.S. isn't rich enough to allow people not to work. That is a bit rough to say, but I think it captures the thinking of policymakers rather well. In any case, we must disagree on things so as to keep this dialogue productive. So that is just one thing I would mention. Let us wrap this up and wish our listeners a good day with plenty of things to think about.